Hi my coil and curl friends, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to pretty much break down some braids maintenance that maybe you could use in the future. If you are like me, I like to keep my braids for as long as I can, even when they start looking really crusty and you can see my hairs like peeping out the actual braids and everything. I just love keeping my braids on for long because it's a protective style, and the time that I've spent with my braids has made me enjoy not having to deal with my hair every single day. So I am not saying it's a good trait. It is not a good trait. With braids you should be able to have it for about a month and a half maximum. So I've just completed so I think it's a month and a week. Yes, it's a month and a week old. The longest I've kept braids in for was for 3 months. So you can even imagine what those braids look like. I'm going to give you some tips that I use to try and maintain my braids for as much as I can. Maybe an extra week or two, nothing longer than a month, nothing longer than 3 weeks. So let's get right into it. Basic things that you're supposed to do, which is sleeping with a satin pillowcase or satin bonnet. I started sleeping with a satin bonnet for the first 2 weeks, and after that I was just like, screw it. I didn't even, yeah, what can I do? I am human. So the anti-frizz by Auntie Jackie's. So what I normally do with this is get all my braids nice and uniform, and I'll just get a bit there. So this is an example. I don't know if you can see. So you can see my hair is literally like popping through. Makes it look a little bit neater. I normally apply this about every 4 days. Like I said, when you want to extend your braids, it's not for longer than 3 weeks. If you don't have the anti-frizz, another way to do it, and this is a little bit more tedious, but you just cut away your flyaways. So as you can see, there's a bit of flyaways there, and then what I'll do is I'll just go with my scissors and just trim it. Look, it looks better. One thing I will say is do be careful you don't trim your own hair, and this is more for if you want to target the front part especially. Let's say there's an example. And there you go. Looks a lot better. The cleanliness of our braids is, how can I say, a non-spoken part. So we know that a lot of us don't wash our hair when we have braids, only because we know that once we wash our hair with braids, it won't look the same. The braids will look old, our hair will start coming out the braid, so it'll essentially add to the untidiness of the braids, and that's what we try to avoid. And we all know that with afro hair, we don't need to wash our hair as often as people think we should. Pretty much the duration of braids is the duration of when we don't wash our hair. That's why it's so important when we do unbraid our braids, we deep condition, we clarify, shampoo our scalp. We make sure that we really do cleanse our hair. So there is a hack that I've started doing to make sure that my scalp is clean. We know that we can't really wash our braids, but maintaining the cleanliness of our scalp is important. So I'll just take a regular spray bottle. It just has water inside. We'll take some apple cider vinegar. We all know that apple cider vinegar helps to clarify our scalp. I'll add some apple cider vinegar into the water. It will be less than 1/3 of the water that is in the spray bottle, so it won't be a lot, because also you don't want your scalp to be smelling like apple cider vinegar while it's still having braids. So it's all about balance, and apple cider vinegar smells really strong, guys. So I will take a t-shirt, because I don't use towels. I never use towels to dry my hair. What I'll do, I'll just spray some on the shirt, and I'll take the wet patch and I'll literally just clean my scalp. What this also helps with is dandruff. If you someone who has very flaky scalp, a scalp that gets dry very easily, you can literally clean the dandruff or the flakes off your hair. Okay, so most of my scalp I've cleaned, and what I'll do then is just to make sure that my scalp doesn't stay dry, because obviously I've used a bit of the clarifying. I'll take some of my leave-in conditioner by My Natural. Okay, I'm having a bit of a problem. Okay, then I just take a little bit and just make sure I just apply. Remember, you don't want to put a lot because you don't want to create product buildup. That's what we're trying to avoid. Okay, so my next trick is, I'm sure some of you have already been seeing my roots. Terrible. It's grown quite a bit and it does look very untidy. You can barely see the parts. So if you want to keep it on for just a little bit longer, there is a trick that I normally use. I take black rubber bands and I literally just tie it as close as possible to my scalp, and it will just tighten all the loose hairs, all the loose strands of hairs that is around the section, make the section look a lot neater. And what I'll do is I'll do it mostly for the front. I don't worry about the back, because if I am going out somewhere and the front does look a little old, I'll just turn to my rubber bands. So these bands I literally got from Clicks. There are tons of bands. What I've noticed with these bands is they do snap easily, which is 100% fine with me, because then I know that they won't be tugging on my hair strands too much. So I'll just comb out the section. And voila, that's the section. This is also a better alternative than having to unbraid every section in the front and rebraid it. If you did watch my previous video on the braids that I did do on my own, they're very different to this one. These ones are done by professionals, obviously, so my braids would look very different to any of these braids. So you can see the difference between these two. Look at this one and then look at this one. So we've done the rubber band method. This is the front of my hair. I've only done the first 3 rows because those are the most visible. And when you tie it up, it looks like it's brand new. So like I said, it's not something that is meant to stay for long. I would give it maybe a week. 2 weeks is pushing it, but I'll probably push it. The next one is, I get to a point where I'm really irritated with my ends, so I cut them. It looks a lot neater, changes up the hairstyle a bit, and adds some sort of flavor. I'll start from the back. I'll check where my hair ends. Where does my hair end? And I'll pretty much cut a bob looking haircut. Here is where I want it to end. A bit of band again, and I'll just tie it. Voila, just got it the same length. And this is the back row. And this is the final look. So just cut it. Looks a bit different, looks a bit edgy, and it also looks a lot neater than what it was before. So thank you guys for watching. I hope I gave you guys some tips on how to give your braids a facelift, and if you have any tips, please share them with me. I would love to get to know them and use them in my next one. So thank you guys. Bye.